Article 800 of the National Electrical Code specifically addresses communications circuits. Section 800.110 details the minimum number of outlets required. In dwelling units, at least one communications outlet must be installed in each bedroom, the living room, the family room, the kitchen, and the dining room. For multifamily dwelling units, the requirement is at least one communications outlet in each bedroom, the living room, and the dining room. Moving to Section 800.115, which covers cabling requirements, subsection C is of particular importance. It states that communications cabling must be Category 3 or a higher category as specified in ANSI/TIMS 568.3. This means that for new construction, the minimum standard for communications wiring, including telephone wiring, is Category 3 cabling. This standard ensures a certain level of performance and compatibility for communication systems within the building. The requirement for Category 3 or higher cabling is not merely a suggestion, it is a mandatory provision within the National Electrical Code. Electrical inspectors will verify compliance with this requirement during inspections of new construction projects. The purpose of requiring Category 3 or higher cabling is to support modern communication needs. While traditional POTS, or plain old telephone service, may function with lower grade wiring, the use of Category 3 or higher cabling provides a future-proof infrastructure. This allows for the potential use of more advanced communication systems that may require higher bandwidth or data transmission capabilities. It's important to note that while Category 3 is the minimum requirement, many installations now use Category 5E or Category 6 cabling. These higher categories offer improved performance and are often preferred for data networks and other advanced communication systems. However, for the specific purpose of meeting the NEC minimum requirements for communications outlets, Category 3 is acceptable. The ANSI/TIMS 568.3 standard referenced in the NEC provides detailed specifications for Category 3 and higher cabling. This standard covers various aspects of the cabling, including its construction, performance characteristics, and testing procedures. Installers should be familiar with this standard to ensure that the cabling they are using meets the required specifications. When installing communications cabling, it's important to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety practices. This includes proper grounding, bonding, and separation of communications cabling from power wiring. Failure to follow these practices can result in electrical hazards or interference with communication signals. It is also important to properly terminate and test the cabling to ensure that it is functioning correctly. This includes using appropriate connectors and testing equipment to verify that the cabling meets the required performance specifications. In summary, the National Electrical Code requires that new construction housing be wired with Category 3 or higher category cabling for communications outlets. This requirement is intended to ensure that buildings have a modern and capable communication infrastructure. While Category 3 is the minimum requirement, high categories of cabling may be preferred for improved performance and future-proofing. Installers should be familiar with the NEC, ANSI/TIMS 568.3 and other applicable standards to ensure that their installations meet all requirements. The NEC is updated regularly, so it is crucial to refer to the most current edition for the latest requirements. Furthermore, local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or amendments to the NEC, so it is important to check with the local electrical inspector to ensure compliance with all applicable codes. When planning a new construction project, it is advisable to consult with a qualified electrical contractor or engineer to ensure that the communications wiring meets all applicable codes and standards. They can provide guidance on the selection of appropriate cabling, the proper installation techniques, and the required testing procedures. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your new construction project has a reliable and future-proof communication infrastructure. Remember that the ultimate goal is to provide a safe and functional electrical system that meets the needs of the occupants. It's also important to consider the potential for future upgrades or expansions when designing the communications wiring system. Installing additional cabling or conduit during the initial construction phase can make it easier and less expensive to add new communication services in the future. This can include things like additional telephone lines, data networks, or security systems. By planning ahead, you can avoid the need for costly and disruptive retrofits later on. In addition to the technical requirements of the NEC, it's also important to consider the aesthetic aspects of the communications wiring installation. This includes things like the routing of cables, the placement of outlets, and the use of cable management systems. A well-designed and neatly installed communications wiring system can enhance the overall appearance of the building. It's also important to label all cables and outlets clearly to make it easier to identify and troubleshoot problems in the future. This can save time and money when performing maintenance or repairs. Furthermore, it is important to consider the specific needs of the occupants when designing the communications wiring system. This includes things like the number of telephone lines required, the desired data network speed, and the need for any specialized communication services. By tailoring the wiring system to the specific needs of the occupants, you can ensure that it provides the best possible performance and functionality. Also, consider the potential for future technological advancements when designing the communications wiring system. This includes things like the adoption of new communication standards, the development of new devices, and the increasing demand for bandwidth. By designing a flexible and scalable wiring system, you can ensure that it can adapt to future technological changes. The goal is to provide a system that is not only compliant with current codes and standards, but also capable of supporting future communication needs. Finally, remember that the communications wiring system is an integral part of the overall electrical system. It should be designed and installed in a manner that is consistent with all other electrical components and systems. This includes things like the grounding system, the bonding system, and the overcurrent protection system. By ensuring that all electrical components and systems are properly integrated, you can create a safe and reliable electrical system that meets the needs of the occupants. This holistic approach to the electrical system is essential for ensuring the long-term performance and safety of the building. In conclusion, adhering to the NEC requirements for communications wiring, specifically the use of Category 3 or higher cabling in new construction, is crucial for ensuring a robust and future-proof communication infrastructure. This not only meets the minimum code requirements, but also provides a foundation for advanced communication systems and potential future upgrades. Remember to consult with qualified professionals and stay updated on the latest code revisions to ensure compliance and optimal performance.